has it that Aston Martin could partner up with Honda come 2026, and I will admit that was not on my news/rumors that could come out during F1 spring break bingo card, but I'm willing to bet that upon hearing about this rumor, Fernando Alonso probably had war flashbacks. For those who've missed this news/rumor, the word is from the SpanishMotorsport.com that Honda are interested in a partnership with Aston Martin come the new engine regs in 2026. I do not know how true this will end up being, but I'm still gonna speak about it, goddammit, because could Aston Martin part ways with Mercedes? So the Silverstone-based team that is now Aston Martin have used quite a few different engine suppliers through their various guises and names, and have used Honda engines back in the day for a period in the late 90s and early 2000s when they were known as Jordan. But they've used Mercedes engines since 2009 when they were Force India. Now, until I saw this rumor of Aston Martin Honda, I did not think they would move away from Mercedes. I thought that partnership was, pretty well and secure. But if this is true, it seems like they could part ways from Mercedes. And if you think about it, then it makes sense that they would maybe want to move away from Mercedes. First off, and this is something I spoke about in my video a few weeks back on Williams maybe parting ways with Mercedes, but Mercedes currently supply 4 teams, including themselves. And come 2026, they'll only be allowed to supply 3 teams, including themselves. So if one team has to find a new engine, and on engines, we know Honda are interested in remaining in the sport in 2026 as an engine supplier, but they do not have a team yet. Any 3 teams Mercedes supply, McLaren, Williams, or Aston Martin, could part ways with the German manufacturer. I've already given my view on Williams, go watch that video. McLaren, we know Zach Brown has been speaking to Red Bull a couple months ago. And now as for Aston Martin, Lawrence Stroll has big ambitions in Formula 1. He wants to fight for race wins and championships. And honestly, you cannot fault the man's ambitions. It's great to see ambitions. I may not like Aston Martin all that much, but I love their ambition. They're building a brand new factory and a brand new wind tunnel, and those things are no doubt going to be hugely beneficial for the team. But in all that, they're still a customer team of Mercedes, and it's not common these days for a team that's a customer of another team for their engine to win at the championship. In fact, in the last 20 years, Red Bull, when they were a customer of Renault, are the only ones. And no, I do not count Braun in 2009 or McLaren in 2008 because Mercedes were not a team on the grid in those years. So I can see why Aston Martin might want to part ways with Mercedes. While they're doing good with the German manufacturer powering them, now being a customer team in the long run might hinder their growth as the years and seasons go on. And so to call a day on that partnership and start a new deal with Honda where they wouldn't be a customer of another team on the grid because Honda don't have a team on the grid, and I don't see that changing anytime soon, it would make sense for their continued growth. It would be a bit like when Toro Rosso and Red Bull switched to Honda in 2018 and 2019, or when McLaren switched to Honda back in 2015. For the Red Bull route, that really worked out for them. McLaren, well, we all know how that one ended. And there is also a question. How much will Mercedes like being outperformed by a customer team? I obviously do not know Toto or any of the guys and girls at Mercedes, but I'm gonna take a wild stab in the dark and say they probably won't like it very much. And as I said, they're most likely going to have to part ways with one of their customer teams anyway. I've already given my view on Williams. Could they lose another one as well? But with all that being said, there are some concerns I have, and I think quite a few people have, about Honda in 2026, and that's a possibility of a repeat of the McLaren-Honda situation. I seriously hope it does not happen, but there is that risk that it could when you take into account that reportedly the F1 operations at their base in Japan have been stripped back, with a lot of engineers moving on to zero emissions projects, and some parts of their facilities, like their battery assembly facility in the UK, that's been taken over by Red Bull Powertrain, so they're not gonna have that. There is also the issue of Honda's flakiness with F1 toward it one way. The number of times that Honda has come into F1 then left again a few years later, only to come back a few years after that, and the cycle repeats. For Aston Martin to go for Honda, they would need assurance from the Japanese brand that they're in it for the long game and they won't give up after a few years like they have in the past. And they will also no doubt want assurance that their partnership will be more like how Red Bull Honda started and not McLaren Honda. Especially if Alonso is still driving for this team come 2026, which I'm gonna be brutally honest, that would not frickin' surprise me. Come on, the man is basically ignoring age. He's literally proving age is just a number. As I said, I do not know how true all of this will end up being, but I see it as entirely possible. I very much see Aston Martin parting ways with Mercedes and becoming that avenue for Honda to remain in the sport in 2026 if they feel it's the way to go. But what do you think? How possible do you think it is for Aston Martin part ways with Mercedes? And do you think Aston Martin Honda is possible? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.